There's just no making that look good. Hello YouTube, I am Cuthbert. I'm going to be showing you how to make this block right here that you see on the screen using Blender and a few various other apps. I'd just like to start off by apologizing for the first part of the video. I have a ridiculously low frame rate because of the screen recorder I was using. I didn't know how to use, and so it ended up recording at 7.5 frames per second, but around 10 minutes in it gets a bit better as I move on to the next few parts and switch recorders. So yeah, I hope you enjoy my tutorial. Hello YouTube, and welcome to my first tutorial on Blender. Today I'm going to be trying to teach you how to make this block that you see here from Planet Minecraft. It's a fairly common picture for Minecraft anything, and we're going to try and animate it into an actual physics simulation where we take this pickaxe and smash it into the block. Now, I can't do this all in one tutorial, and I have to hurry up because the last time I tried this I was 20 minutes in before I even had the texture done. So let's get started right away. This texture that I'm going to be using, I grabbed this one off the internet. I just googled diamond ore texture, and it works beautifully. It's a bead pattern by the Soggy Enderman. I'm going to try and contact him to see if he's okay with me using this, but I'm guessing he is because of the place that it's published. So it's an incredibly useful pattern, and I just right clicked on it, said save it, put it somewhere on my desktop, and opened it with GIMP. GIMP is a 3-image editor that I'm going to be using. If you have Photoshop it might work, but I think that's just overkill, and we're going to be using it for the eyedropper property to take color samples, which I will show you what they're useful for later. So here's Blender. I've just created a new scene and taken out the brick and applied a really awful theme that I love. And I'm going to start off by creating a cube. Now a 1 by 1 by 1 cube is way too big, so we're going to scale it to 0.25. Not 25, 0.25 on all three axes. So it's small and manageable and still a divisible by 4. Like it's original divided by 4, so that's a little bit more possible to work with later, because if we use odd numbers it might get a little complicated. That would be like hitting S and dragging to scale it. So if you just watch down here you'll see what I'm doing. Chances are you'll know that already. I'm going to go into modifiers and add a modifier, specifically the array, make it 16, and I'm going to do one on the x-axis. No, yes, one on the x. The offset is going to be 1.001. Very important that you have that 001, because otherwise when we run it through the physics engine they're going to be considered clipping each other, and Blender is going to think that they're pushing on each other and they're going to explode. And you'll think it looks cool, but eventually you'll just realize you've screwed up and you'll end up having to do the whole damn thing over again. And you're not going to like it, because it's happened to me before. Then we're going to hit apply here. That's very important because it'll give us problems if we don't in a couple of minutes. Then we're going to do it again, and this time this one's going to be 0, this one's also going to be 0, and this one is going to be 1.001. So this is X, Y, and Z. This time we're going to go up once again by 16. So now we have a 16 by 16 phase that's 256 bricks, and we're going to try and apply this texture to it. So first thing we have to do is make them independent bricks. So hit apply again and go into edit mode. You can hit tab to do this. I'm telling you that because I've had it stuck in this before, where I was editing a block and I didn't know how to get out, so I had to reload the file. Yes, I'm new to Blender. So edit mode, and now it sees this entire object here as one single block, which we really don't want, because it'll go terribly in the physics engine and we really can't do anything with this. So go into edit mode, select them all, and hit P. Maybe not. Control P. No. P. Yes, P. Separate by loose parts. So that'll take a second. If you've gone and done another dimension, a third one by 16, your computer will freeze, because that's 4,000 bricks that you have to separate, and it will take forever. Perfect. Now we go back into object mode, and you can see each one of these bricks is independent. So now we have to apply this texture. So we're going to start off by creating the 3 textures. No, sorry. First off, we're going to select them all again. Hang on. I'm just going to grab the camera and the light and move them by pressing M to this layer so they're out of the way and we can work on our original layer without any problems. Select everything by pressing A and press Object, Transform, Origin to Geometry, and that's going to put the origin of each block at the center of each block as opposed to the original block, which is once again dealing with the physics engine and for practical convenience. Practical convenience, great choice of words. So now we're going to start texturing them. The reason I have this open in GIMP is because with GIMP I can click on a block. You can see here there are the various diamond textures of white, various blues, and then there's the stone textures, so to speak. You've got a light gray, a middle gray, and a dark gray. So we're going to start off with the light or the middle gray because it's there, and we're going to click on it using the eyedropper tool. This will take whatever color we're clicking on and put it in this square. So we want this one. It takes from the tip of the eyedropper, and then we click it. And here you find HTML notation, one of the most useful things that I've ever found for colors, because an HTML notation, clicking texture, or sorry, material and new, HTML notation copies the color value. And it is a very simple, I think it's 6 to 8 character string of hexadecimal digits that make an exact replica of the color. So now we have in this brick this color, and it will always be that color as long as you take that string of text. In Specular, we're going to apply that as well, and just take my word for it, move this up a little bit because it makes it look prettier once we're done rendering. And then we're going to name it Stone Middle. Use underscores. Underscores are nice. So that's our middle colored stone texture right there. Then we're going to do the same for the dark, which appears here, and say new texture. Go back to GIMP and click here, grab our HTML notation, copy it, go back to Blender, and put it here. And do the same for Specular. Moving this one up a little bit because it'll look nicer later. And then we're done. Now we have one more to go. Where are you? There you are. The light, which we'll put in this block right here. Stupid GIMP. So we click on it again with our eyedropper tool and take the HTML notation, go back to Blender, create a new texture. I forgot to title that one. Go here, paste it, apply it, Specular, paste it, apply it, move the Specular slider up a little bit, and name it Stone Light. And just go back to this one for a sec, and change it to Stone Dark. Beautiful. So now you can't really see it from this angle, but it is there. There are 3 different colors in that section. So now we're going to go and apply this pattern to it. This will take a long time, so I'm going to pause the video once I tell you how to do this, and some quick shortcuts. So first off, we're going to start with this piece here. So we go down 5. So I'm going to select these 4, deselecting the originally colored one. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to select this one as well because it's another part of this brick. And then I'm going to select the colored one last. It's very important you do this one last. And then you press Control L on your keyboard, and you'll find the link. You can link a whole bunch of stuff. We want to link the materials because that's what we're, transferring. And it will conveniently move all of the textures over to every single one. And now if I change this one and make it purple, the other ones will change purple as well. Hit Control Z to undo. Couple quick movement commands that you might not be familiar with. If you hold Shift, you can go like this. Just normally using the middle mouse button, Shift middle mouse button to go back and forth, normal middle mouse button to go like that, and scroll to go in and out. And so you're going to have to do that process here. Use this as a reference to which you do, whatever with. My mind's going blank. Use this as a template, yes. So then each one of these, there's 16 blocks here, there's 16 blocks here. It's very easy. All of these blue things we're going to leave blue, or leave for now without texturing them, because I'm going to have to mess around a bit off camera and try and get that shiny glass thing that we want, because that looks cool. So now we're going to do it with this one. We have 4, so we're going to select 1, 2, 3, and then the colored one last, and press Control L, Materials. Why didn't it work? Control L, Materials, because I hit animation data. Undo, link, materials. Better. So you're gonna have to do this for some time. I have to keep it quick because I'm already at 10 minutes. Wow, that works fast. And so I will come back, just do it for each one of these, and leave these blanks, and make sure to do lots and lots of saving, because you will hate yourself if you don't and you crash. So I will be back in 1 second. You might want to do this if you're doing it alongside. Pause the video here and then resume once you're done coloring the entire block. Alright, so that totally didn't take 3 hours. I have finished the 3 stone colors for this block, and now I'm back with my diamond texture here, and I've done some drawing with the GIMP brush tool. It's let me stroke off the ones that I've already done, so that I don't have, to worry about finding which ones still have to be colored and whatnot. So anyone like here, this one is a dead spot here. If I right click on it, you can see there's no texture, whereas if I click on one that does have a texture, I've linked them all to this cube, and this cube, so if I change this cube's color, everything else changes. Really, really neat. But then if I change this cube's color, it still works. It doesn't really make that much of a difference, but I just thought you'd want to know in case, whatever. So we're going to start with this block here that's in this slot, which we'll call the dark blue diamond. So we took the, I have to stop doing that, took the color with the eyedropper tool by clicking on it, and now we'll get the HTML notation, copy it, okay, go back to our Blender, click here, right click, and create a new texture, or material, sorry, and put the color code in there, and apply it. So now we have that dark blue diamond texture, and if you'll excuse me for just 1 second, I already went ahead and did this in another Blender video, or Blender off camera, so I'm going to keep that on the other screen so I don't have to mess with settings for 15 minutes trying to figure out how this worked. So this one here, we go, same thing as always, paste that in there, bring up this just a drop to get that nice glow effect. And now the difficult part is that this is a diamond, so we have to make it behave like a diamond. So we're going to go down and mess with transparency and mirror. So we'll enable both of those, and right now, if we render this through our non-existent camera, or do we have one? We do have one. It's just in the wrong place. So I hit 0 so I can see the camera, hit G to grab it, I'm grabbing the wrong object, hit G to grab it so I can move it, go up so I can see this block, and I hit F12 to do a render. You can see that's kind of what we're looking for, but it's not diamond, it's block. So I'm going to keep the render up because we don't need to see it, other than to highlight it. And now I'm going to go into texture and start messing with the shading and stuff. For this particular purpose, we're going to have an alpha of 0.905. I found that worked for this material. Don't touch anything else. I have no idea what they do, but this works. So, and for mirror, we're having 0.435 for the reflectivity. And in the color zone, we just paste the color code again, and if I render it again, you'll notice not much of a difference until I do this. I go into modifiers, add modifier, and this time we're looking for bevel or bevel, whichever one you prefer. And for segments, we're going to put in 39. The reason I'm not using 40 is because odd numbers seem to bear better results. And for the width, we're going 0.22. And now we're going to render it again. And you'll notice it kind of sinks back, which is a bit more of the effect that we're looking for. Hang on a sec. Yeah. And that's all. Just hit apply there. So we're getting a bit more. This is supposed to be a deeper diamond, so we're not actually like supposed to have the bright gleaming effects. It's still a little dark, but that can be changed with the positioning of the light. If we go into 0, now this is something you might find very useful. If you press 7 and then 5, it switches into I don't know how to pronounce it, a big word, ortho, whatever. It's basically top-down view with no perspective. So the coordinate here is the same as, like, if you take the xy of an object and leave out the z and you drag it, you can see the z doesn't change, if just the x and the y. But if I take it out of this ortho whatever mode by pressing 5 again and I grab this, kind of does the same thing, but whatever. It's a nice view to mess around in. It also gives you the full screen grid, so it's great for positioning objects like that. But then if you get out of it, it looks all funny. So, and then when you switch back, it looks funny again, but that's just messing with you. So 0 to go back to camera, F12 to render again, and now we're getting a bit more of that diamondy effect that we're looking for. So let's go ahead and do that with the others. The next one I'm going to be doing, if we look at our thing here, we're going to try and do this one. So that's a darker diamond. Hang on a sec. So the one we were just working on, we're going to name the texture, because that's what we do, because we're organized. So we're going to call it diamond underscore dark underscore blue. So now anytime we need to use that somewhere else, which I can tell you we'll need it here and here and so on, we can just import that from our materials, which gets very, very handy. Now we're going to do another one. Let's do this one here. If we look at our texture file, or at our, texture, we're going to call this the dirty diamond, because it kind of looks like a dirty diamond. Let me just pull up the import. There we go. On my other screen, and we're going to say new texture, and here we're going to paste in the color code. Did I grab it? No, I didn't. I just copied it. So get the color code. Like that. Okay. Go back to Blender, paste it in there, press up enter to apply it, another enter to apply it, and go down here. And the magic settings for this one are transparency. For alpha, we have a value of 0.823. For mirror, we have a value of 0.333. And here, once again, we just pop in the original color. I'm going to do it all in once. You might want to do this later if you're doing it some other way, but I know that this works. Once again, a thickness of 0.22 and 39 segments. Hit F12, and we get that dark diamond look to it. Now, the one next to it, if we look here, is a very bright, gleaming diamond. It's really standing out. So we're going to take the color code. If I paste this in Blender, you'll see, hang on, we'll just apply the bevel and select the block. So when I add this as a texture, as a color, you'll notice the color values. One, it's all the way straight to the top. So they were really going, when they developed this color, for a standing out. This can't go any higher. It's really supposed to be an obnoxious color, and that will play havoc with our specular highlighting. But screw that, because it's already bright as heck. Hang on, let me just pull it up in my other Blender file. I think I did something to this one to make it look pretty. Some trick. No? Yes, I did. There is an emit function here, and I changed that ever so slightly up. And I took off shadowless. So now if we render that, we'll notice that really, really, like, stares out at you. Not stares, that's a bad word. Call it diamond underscore, what is it, light? No. Blue, yes, light blue. Diamond underscore light blue. And go down to these two, enable transparency and enable mirror. Find those in my settings. So transparency of 0.878 and a reflectivity of 0.490. And just pop that color code in there and re-render it, and you'll notice an entirely new look to it, slightly dimmer, still with that emit. And then we'll just add the bevel modifier, 0.22, 39, enter, and render. Now we're talking. That's a diamond right there, with a poor light source. What I can do to counter that, I can either just move it closer, with the 7 and the 5 again. Make sure you're doing that on the numpad, though. Otherwise you'll need to go into Blender's compatibility options. A couple tricks I want to show you. I have the lamp selected right now. So we can increase the energy to something higher to give it a much more standing out look, whatever. You'll notice these are white because we haven't textured them yet. Another thing you can do, we'll take that back down to 1. If we select the diamond and go into texture, I haven't actually played around with this too much, and go emit and crank that a little bit more. It should give us a more vibrant, like it should stand out a little bit more. We can also reduce the alpha and increase the reflectivity, and that'll give us even more light. Because we want those to stand out, obviously. One more to go, the white one. I haven't done this one yet, so this'll be fun. I like fun. Don't exit full screen. Bad Blender. Bad Blender. So we'll just grab, now you'd think it's white, straight up white here, but actually if we take an eyedrop, it's almost white. It is so close. It's like a couple values off, and I can't tell if it's just the way that this image was saved or if it's intentional, because it's got a tiny bit of a red tinge to it. Just ever so slight, but it's still there. So we'll apply those anyways because we want to be thorough, and pull that up all the way. And we'll just render it now to show you what it looks like. It kind of has a different light to it because Blender uses an interesting color palette. Oh, caps lock. Diamond underscore white. Perfect. Now we'll go into transparency, and drop it a bit off the alpha. I think I have some basic settings here. No, barely anything. 0.87 again. I think I just copied one of the original textures. And reflectivity of 0.4. And we'll see what that gives us. That's fairly dark. I don't like that, so I'm going to take off the transparency altogether and give it just the mirror-like properties. And it's still dark. Why is it doing that? Because it's silver. Let's make it more reflective. Alright, hang on. I'm going to pause the video and tell you guys once I get this thing figured out. Alright, there we go. So I just changed the emit to 1.46, and the reflectivity is at 0.5, and I'm leaving transparency out of it because we don't really need that to be transparent. These things might end up acting like light emitters once we're done, so that'll create a really cool effect once we're starting to smash things, because it'll be this glowing dot moving around all kinds of broken objects, which is going to look cool. So we'll apply our bevel of 0.22 and 39 and render out, and there you have it. Excuse me, diamond blocks. Now let's pull up GIMP again. We've done that one. Nope. So right now I've selected red, and I'm going to take the brush and stroke out that one because it's done, these two because they're done, and let's do these two. So we have 4 textures here. So this one is a copy of this texture, so I'm going to exit out of the rendered preview, take this. I don't know if I've named... Yeah, I haven't named this one. So this is dirty. I haven't used dirty diamond yet, have I yet? No. So that's going to be a dirty diamond. Right click on the one we want and select diamond dirty. Boom. Very fast. I love that. Stroke it off. Now we've got a diamond dark blue here. Select diamond dark blue, and that'll just take a couple seconds. Alright, there we go. Now we've got the textures on all of our diamond blocks, and we don't have any untextured blocks left. Materialized. Texture, I guess, will work. So in this left column, you can see if you right click on any brick, it's all got a sphere here, as opposed to if I were to create a new object, there's nothing. Hit Control Z to undo. Hang on. Ooh, you don't have that. That's convenient. Now you'll notice if we hit F12, we've got some, you know, Minecraft-looking graphics here, but we still have the problem of these things being flush and these being bezeled. Now, it would be a real shame if you had to click each and every one of these independently and apply the bezel to them, because one day it's going to come up that you're going to be cruising around and you're going to have 500 objects or something that you want to put a bezel on, and I'm going to teach you how to do that with one click. Maybe a few more than one. So, select every object by holding Shift and right-clicking on them that you want to put a bezel on. So, there's a bunch of them. We'll just grab them. You're excluded. So everything that hasn't been bezeled yet gets selected with the Shift right click, and then we click on one that does have a bezel, like this white one here, and we press the magical Control L, and this time we say modifiers. And it'll take a second and put in our bezels, and you'll notice my frame rate drops a bunch, because now it's got all these complex objects to render, and my computer is a little bit older. Hit F12 to render, and there we go. Now you're noticing rendering is starting to take long because it actually has to think about light angles as opposed to just being a flat block. So now here we have our beautiful little diamond face. What we do with it now is up to you. We can either build another dimension going this way, and the easiest way to do that would be to make this into a single object, which I still have to figure out how to do, and then use the array modifier again, and then break it back up. Or we could build another layer for this to kind of make it more realistic. So I'm going to figure out which one I'm going to do, and I will once again be right back. Alright, that didn't take long. I think I'm just going to smash it as it is, because you guys are probably getting eager on finding out how we're going to do that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to select all of the objects as a whole by pressing A until we have everything. Now the camera and the light are still in this scene. So we'll select this one and do that again, so that if we go here and just into our scene with the light, we can deselect those and then just select everything in this scene. And we're going to say here in rigid body tools, add active. So now each of these, you can see the outline goes green because now they're active rigid bodies, and they will be runnable through Blender's physics engine, which is pretty cool. And then we're going to go add mesh and give it a base plane. Hang on. Stuck it up here because I had my cursor up there. I'm going to hit Shift S and say reset cursor to center. So now the cursor is back at 0, 0, 0. We're going to add a plane. Make it nice and big. Select all the bricks again, deselect the plane, and move them up above the plane. And I'm just going to show you what to do here. Plane, we're going to go into physics here and say rigid body. And active is an object that actively moves and falls, and passive is something that is just God mode stuck here. You can hit E or Control E, or maybe go into edit mode with the use of tab and then E, and extrude it if you want it as a base. I think I'm going to do that so that it doesn't glitch out, because sometimes the pieces fall. And now I'm going to press Alt A, and you can see it's at 12 frames per second. It's baking what this will look like as free-flowing bodies. And then once it finishes, you can see down here the transparent one is the unrendered or unbaked, and the clear one, or the less transparent, the more opaque one, is one that's already been thought out, and now you can see it's running a full 25 frames a second. We can from here either render it as a frame by frame, or we can stop at any one frame and just render that frame to see what it'll look like, so we can see our diamond effects actually at play. So we'll do that now, and just give it a minute. There. Now, what is going on here? There's a couple blocks that are lit up, and everything else is just crazy. We forgot to add this layer. So the layer with the camera and the sun. It'll still try and render it, and since we set these ones, the ones that were going all freaky, to emit, I can hit F11 to pull up the last frame, they're emitting a light, so the ones near it get light, and everything else is black. So now if we hit F12 to re-render with all the layers selected, it'll take even longer, and now we have progress. Look at that. So now how do we smash it? Well, we have to build a sword or something, a pickaxe, and I don't have any of those. I used to have a really sweet diamond sword, but my computer crashed, and I lost it. So for now, we're going to use an extremely advanced brick, because who loves bricks? I love bricks, so we'll go add cube, scale with S on the X. We're going to texture it here, and then I'm going to cut this video and make a second part 2 for the actual physics. Hang on. Yeah. So, we'll go and give this some rigid body physics. I lied about the physics thing. We're going to do that all in this video and finish up real quick. We're going to keep it as active, and we're going to say it's animated. So now the animation system won't control it, and you'll notice down here this bar has turned a sick yellow, and that's because it needs to rebake all this. So we're going to use keyframes to render this, and first we're going to go to frame 1 and onto our scene with this on it. I'm going to move this onto the this layer, so it's out of the way, so this is just our diamond, and I'm going to select all of these and click rigid body. No, I don't want passive. I need to select one of these. Alright, I'm going to change some things with the rigid body that will make this a little bit more nice. So I'm going to say enable deactivation, and I'm going to start it deactivated. I'm also going to change the dampening a bit, so they're a bit more brick-like, or diamond block-like. And now I have this one selected, so this is my host cube, so to speak, for this particular part of the activity. So I'm going to hit A to select them all, and this one is still the number 1 brick. And then I'm going to say copy from active under rigid body tools, so it takes all of these physics and applies it to the other ones. And go back to frame 1, select the other 2 scenes, so we can watch this play out. And it's still not going to work. Actually, we can just do one quick thing to show you what that did. Now when I hit A, you'll notice nothing moves, because these ones are deactivated. You'll notice I'm baking about 4 times faster than I was before, because these aren't technically part of the simulation. All it's doing is checking to see that they're there, or if there's anything interacting with them, which there isn't. So they're going to stay there, hovering above the ground, until this is going to come and smash into them. And the way we do that, I'm going to stop the video, right-click on it to select it, and go to Object Properties. And here you can see Transform. We press on frame 1 I, and that inserts a keyframe, and that's a very important part of the Blender animation system, and I think I'll do a tutorial on that one later. In case you don't get them and you don't want to watch one of the hundreds of other people who explain that, because a lot of people do, because it's important. And then we're going to go to frame 30, and to see I kind of want it to move at this speed, so I want it to be here by frame 30. So I type in 30, and then I move the block where I want it to be at frame 30, and then I go over here, which have been updated when I move the block. If I change frame now, it'll reset, because every time the frame is different, it goes to the frame that's been selected and the keyframe properties. And now I press I. And so now, when I go here and I press Alt-A, it's going to freeze up, but you'll see the brick moves. So now we'll bring in the other two scenes, and you see, oh, something's happening. So let's play that, and you see the brick kind of disintegrate a piece from the structure, and then the structure falls apart. Now, see how they're moving much slower? That is the friction part. If you set this all the way to 1, it will stop moving the second you hit it. So one quick change I'm going to do to make this a little bit more lifelike, I'm going to select them all and move them so they're flat with the ground pane. Brick, you're not accepted here. Bad brick, go away. There we go. It has selected everything, so deselect everything in this one, select everything in this one, bring in the other, and move it down to the point where it just about starts clipping, so it looks a little bit more natural in the first drop. And now I'm going to bake it again with Alt-A, and once that's done, I will stop the recorder and throw in a rendered copy of what this will look like. There we go. So I hope you guys enjoyed my tutorial, and stay tuned for more, I guess. See you later.